Spotlight, lectures and performances on and around Albany State University.
We have some extremely happy student teachers here today and interns today that have just waited and waited for this day to come, and now that it's here, it's truly all about them. All semester, I have preached how everything was about the students, but today and tomorrow, it really and truly is all about them. So I would like, first of all, to give them a round of applause. They have all done an outstanding job, including put up with me, but to get to this day, I will no longer, without further ado, I would like Ms. Felicia Grubbs to come up with a poem.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome guests to Albany State University's College of Education Spring 2013 Graduate and Penning Ceremony. Today, I'm going to read you a poem entitled, "It Couldn't Be Done" by Edgar Albert Best. Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but he, with a chuckle, replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so until he tried. So he buckled right in with the trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hid it. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Somebody scoffed, "Oh, you'll never do that. At least no one has done it." But he took off his coat and took off his hat, and the first thing we knew, he'd begun it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, without any doubting or quitted, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you, one by one, the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle it in with a bit of a grin. Just take off your coat and go to it. Just start to sing as you tackle the thing that couldn't be done, and you'll do it.
Any educator who's been teaching any number of years can tell you stories for days. They could just go on and talk to you about the challenges, but the rewards are so paramount. The rewards in this business are so great that they outweigh any number of challenges that you may even have. Kids are just so wonderful. I was assistant principal at elementary school, coach, and a kid walked up to me. We had just given out report cards. Children are wonderful. And she came in the next day. And I kind of noticed a look on her face. I was standing in the hall on hall duty, and she walked up to me, and she looked up at me with those big eyes, and she said, "Mr. Davis?" I said, "Yes, good morning." She said, "You a real nice man." I said, "Well, thank you." She said, "My daddy, he's a real big man." I said, "Oh, okay, all right, that's good to know. Hope you have a good day." She reached in her pocket and pulled out her report card. She said, and he say, "If my grades don't come up, somebody gonna get a spanking." And I turned to look back at her. She was walking off saying, "It ain't gonna be me. It ain't gonna be me." Kids are just wonderful. You're gonna love that job. But I was having a conversation with one of my brothers, and we were talking about professional basketball. I'm a LeBron fan, LeBron James. Any Miami Heat fans in here? They're gonna win again this year, by the way. And what a phenomenal basketball player he is. He can score in any situation. Doesn't matter if he's down, if they're double teaming, triple teaming, boxing one, he can score the basketball. He's the professional. I thought about the golfing world. Anybody watch golf? Watch golf? Any golfers in here? Golfers are professionals. Not just us who go out and hit the ball all over the place, and if it's in a bad area, we say forget it and get another one. But professional golfers, It doesn't matter where that ball lands, they can get to it. They have a bag of all sorts of clubs. You can refer to them as skills that you're going to need to have. Perseverance is one. You're going to need to have that skill. Being a good communicator is another one. You're really going to need that skill. Being able to be on time is another one. You're really going to need that skill. Having your stuff organized, y'all familiar with teacher keys? You're really going to need that skill. You're going to need that skill. But golfers are able to assess where the ball is, know what club they need, and they can get to it. Now, you're going to need to do that too. You may not start the year out with a whole bag of skills, but you have what it takes because you're here. You have perseverance. You know how to stick to a task. You know how to not give up. You know how to believe in a child when everyone else is turning their back to them. You know how to work when no one is cheering in your corner. You're going to need those skills. So I want to leave you with a few things. All the early childhood majors, all our early childhood majors, please stand. If you're elementary, childhood, please stand. Families, y'all take a good look at this group right here. They'll be the group during the family reunion that'll try to get everybody in a single file line to go get their plate. They'll have us all sitting crisscross applesauce when we're watching the DVD on DVD nights. Y'all give them a hand. These are our early childhood. Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. Where are the middle grades majors? All middle grades education majors. Please stand. All middle grades. These are all middle grades? All right, everybody, let us pray. Let's pray for them. You all, let's pray. I don't even know. Y'all give them a hand. Y'all give them a hand. Have a seat. My. And all of our health and PE and music majors, y'all please stand. If there are any music majors, health and physical education, I hope I didn't leave anyone out. Y'all give them a hand. Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. I want to leave you with just believe in yourself. Believe in the skills that you have. Believe in the skills that you have. Thank you. Believe in the skills that you have acquired over the years. Believe that it doesn't matter how challenging the situation may be. If anyone can make a difference, you can. I would like to ask for all of our special education majors to please stand. If there are any special education majors who are here, please stand. What major did I not call? Masters of Science Education, please stand. Congratulations. Thank you. You all believe in your abilities. My first year as principal was very tough. It was very tough. There were some times when I doubted, even before that job, Dr. Strickland. There were some times that I doubted that I had what it took. There were some times that I questioned if this was really what I wanted to do. My first year as principal, I thought I was ready, and I was. Knew how to evaluate teachers, budget, had all those operations, how to manage a school, relate to a community. I had all that down pat, Savage. But the first month, second week, 2 of our students drowned here in this town. Hardest thing I ever had to do was to go to a family, go to a faculty, console the faculty, deal with a grieving school. I didn't know I had that in me, but it was there. Let me tell you, you're going to have some things that come up your first year that you're going to wonder if you have what it takes. But it's there. This university helped instill it in me, and it's in you too. So best of luck your first year, second year, 10th year, 20th year. It doesn't matter where you work, the metropolis of Atlanta, fields of Georgia, coast of Savannah, the plains of central Georgia, you'll do fine. You have what it takes. Thank you all. God bless.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the time we have all been waiting for, it's time to be pinned. I would like for the first row to stand. You will come to the left of the stage. For all cooperating teachers and/or any pinners, if you all would come up the right of the stage. We will begin with early childhood education and then move to health and physical education, middle grades education, science education, and special education.
Good afternoon. We will announce the candidate, her school assignment, location, the principal at her school, the cooperating teacher, university supervisor, and who will pin her. Starting with Brianna Blount. Early childhood education major, Turner Elementary School, Albany, Georgia. Mrs. Solomon, school principal. Cooperating teacher, Mrs. Jefferson. University supervisor, Dr. Clara Sheffield. Brianna will be pinned by Dr. Sheffield, her university supervisor. Patricia Buggs. School assignment, Seminole County Elementary School, Donaldsonville, Georgia. Principal, Dr. Renee Pierce. Cooperating teachers, Mrs. Beverly Ross and Mrs. Melissa Rathel. University supervisor, Ms. Janine Vicks. Patricia Buggs is pinned by Ms. Janine Vicks. Her university supervisor. Okay. Next we have Kimberly Daly. Kimberly was at Pelham Elementary School, her hometown. Her principal, Mr. Torrey Williams. Her university supervisor, Mrs. Janine Vicks. Okay, sorry. Kimberly will be pinned by Ms. Erica Carver and Ms. Janine Vicks. Kimberlyn Ernest. Jones Wheat Elementary School in Bainbridge, Georgia. Principal, Dr. Larry Clark. Cooperating teacher, Ms. Aisha Hughes. University supervisor, Ms. Janine Vicks. Kimberlyn Ernest is pinned by Ms. Janine Vicks, her university supervisor. Next is Shamika Edward. Shamika was assigned to Whitney Head Start Center in Albany, Georgia. The principal is Carla Hall. Her cooperating teachers were Wanda Dudley Haynes. University supervisor, Ms. Jackson. And Shamika Edwards is pinned by Carolyn Crittenden, her mother-in-law. The next candidate is Yolanda Hall. Her school assignment was Stringfellow Elementary School in Moultrie, Georgia. Principal, Mrs. Darlene Reynolds. Cooperating teacher, Mrs. Thomas. University supervisor, Mrs. Naomi Carroll. Yolanda Hall is penned by Mrs. Thomas, her cooperating teacher. Next candidate is Bobby Jane Herron. Her school assignment was Nahunta Primary School in Nahunta, Georgia. Principal, Dr. Brandon Carter. Cooperating teacher, Mrs. Paula Tanner. University supervisor, Dr. Linda Perry Simpson. Bobby Jane Herron is penned by Dr. Linda Perry Simpson. Our next candidate is Ashley Lawson. Her school assignment, Magnolia Elementary School in Albany, Georgia. Principal, Dr. Frazier. Cooperating teacher, Mrs. Lolita Shaw. University supervisor, Ms. Carver. Ashley Lawson is penned by Ms. Shaw, her cooperating teacher and mentor. Karen Ann Lovett. School assignment, Morningside Elementary School. Principal, Mr. Walker. Cooperating teacher, LaShonda Atkins. University supervisor, Naomi Carroll. Ms. Lovett will be penned by Ms. Naomi Carroll, her university supervisor. Next, we have de Havilland Parks Moody. School assignment, Lamar Reese, Magnet School of the Arts, located here in Albany, Georgia. Her principal is Mr. George Graham. Cooperating teacher, Mrs. Tricia Nix. University supervisor, Mrs. Jackson. De Havilland Parks Moody will be penned by Mrs. Nix, her cooperating teacher. Dana Newsom. Her school assignment was Miller County Elementary School in Colquitt, Georgia, rather. Principal, Mr. David Kirkland. Cooperating teacher, Ms. Melissa Whitley. University supervisor, Ms. Janine Vicks. Dana Newsom is penned by Ms. Melissa Whitley, her cooperating teacher. Next we have Anika Chestnut Russell. Assignment Turner CDC Head Start here in Albany, Georgia. The principal, Ms. Irma Campbell. Cooperating teacher, Mrs. Felicia Jordan. University supervisor, Ms. Carver. Anika Chestnut Russell is penned by Dr. Sandra Chavez, her mentor. Chavis. Mindy Pearson. School assignment, Wacona Elementary in Waycross, Georgia. Principal, Dr. Jacqueline Turner. Cooperating teacher, Olivia Bracington. University supervisor, Dr. Linda Perry Simpson. Mindy Pearson is penned by Dr. Perry Simpson, her cooperating teacher. Actually, her university supervisor. Next, we have Sonia Snow, school assignment, Appling County Primary School in Baxley, Georgia. Principal, Mrs. Brenda Harvey. Cooperating teacher, Mrs. Janie Dowdy. University supervisor, Dr. Linda Perry Simpson. Sonia Snow is penned by Dr. Linda Perry Simpson, her university supervisor. Drenda Vella, school assignment, Memorial Drive Elementary School, Waycross, Georgia. Principal, Dr. Wendy Good. Cooperating teacher, Mrs. Gina Howell. University supervisor, Dr. Linda Perry Simpson. Drenda will be penned by Dr. Linda Perry Simpson, her university supervisor. I don't have that one.
Felicia Williams from Sherwood.
Okay. Why don't you just say the next two?
Okay.
Next, we will have Miss Felicia Williams. Felicia Williams did her student teaching at Sherwood Acres Elementary School. Her principal was Mr. Eddie Johnson. Her university supervisor is Miss Jackson, and she is penned by Miss Postic, I'm sorry. Okay. Next, we have Mr. Daniel Wilson. Mr. Daniel Wilson completed his student teaching at Magnolia Elementary School. Principal, Dr. Jacqueline Frazier. University supervisor, Ms. Jackson. He is penned by his cooperating teacher, Mrs. Kimberly Thomas. That completes the penny for early childhood education.
We have next the majors of health and physical education. Our first recipient, Danielle Brianne Colson. School assignment, Sherwood Acres Elementary School. Principal, Mr. Eddie Johnson. Cooperating teacher, Mrs. Brenda Marley. University supervisor, Mr. Robert James. Danielle is penned by Latressa Watley, her mentor. Candidate 2, Grady Lee Hart, Jr. Mr. Hart is a health and physical education major, where his school assignment was Daugherty Comprehensive High School. Principal, Mr. Jose Rockmore. Cooperating teacher, Mr. Donald Poole. University supervisor, Mr. Robert James. Mr. Hart is being penned by Mrs. LaTanya Connor, his advisor. Candidate number 3 for health and physical education is none other than Ms. Jasmine Miller. Ms. Miller did her school assignment at Radium Springs Middle School, Magnet School, School of the Arts, where the principal is Mr. Vincent Davis. Cooperating teacher, Coach Kenyatta Phillips. University supervisor, Mr. Robert James. Mrs. Miller is being penned by Mrs. LaTanya Connor, her academic advisor. Candidate number 4 is Mr. Dallas Nellums Jr., a health and physical education major, where his school assignment was Albany High. Principal, Mrs. Angela Shoemake. Cooperating teacher, Mrs. Candenise Thomas. University supervisor, Mr. Robert James. Dallas is also being penned by Mrs. LaTanya Connor, his advisor. Our 5th candidate in health and physical education is none other than Mr. Antoine Savage. Mr. Antoine Savage's school assignment was Sylvester Road Elementary School. Principal, Dr. Deborah Jones. Cooperating teacher, Mr. Dennis Davis. University supervisor, Mr. Robert James. Mr. Savage is being penned by Dr. Andrea Savage, his mother. Last but not least of the health and physical education is Javier Montel Woods. Mr. Woods' school assignment was Radium Springs Middle Magnet School, School of the Arts, where the principal is Mr. Vincent Davis. Cooperating teacher, Coach Kenyatta Phillips. University supervisor, Mr. Robert James. Javier Woods is being penned by Mrs. LaTanya Connor, his advisor. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the 6 candidates from health, physical education. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Our next group of students, they're no more students, are candidates, from middle grades education. First on the list is Felicia Avila Friel. Felicia's school assignment was Robert Cross Middle, Principal Dr. Pringle. Cooperating teacher was Stephen Hart. University supervisor was Mr. Fuchs. Felicia is penned by Stephanie Hart. Next, we have Lachelle Crow. Lachelle went to Radium Springs, and Principal Mr. Vincent Davis. Cooperating teacher was Yambi Walker. Her university supervisor was Viola Brooks, and Lachelle is penned by Tammy Walker. Next, we have Naisha DeBose. Naisha went to Mary Acres. Principal is Mr. Scott Harden. University supervisor was Mrs. Viola Brooks, and Naisha is penned by Mrs. Carol Green, her cooperating teacher for student teaching. Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Tamika Favors. Her school assignment was Reedham Springs Middle School, Principal Mr. Vincent Davis. Her cooperating teachers were Mrs. Cheryl Harrell, Mr. Marquis Davis. University supervisor was Mrs. Viola Brooks, and Tomika is penned by Mr. Marcus Davis. Next, we have Ms. Felicia Grubbs. Her school assignment was Southside Middle School, Albany. Principal Dr. Johnny Scott. Her cooperating teacher was Mrs. Linda Porter, and university supervisor was Mrs. Viola Brooks. Felicia is penned by Mrs. Linda Porter, her cooperating teacher. Our next candidate is Sherry Hubbard. Her school assignment was Mary Acres. Principal, Mr. Scott Horton. Her cooperating teacher was Mrs. Audrey Brown, and her university supervisor was Mrs. Viola Brooks. Sherry is penned by her cooperating teacher, Mrs. Audrey Brown. Next, we have Nathan Johnson. He went to Reedham Springs Middle School, Principal Mr. Davies, and his cooperating teacher was Mr. Brown Sadler. University supervisor was Dr. Beard, and Mr. Johnson is penned by Ms. Sheila Johnson, his mother. Tavares Kenny is next. He had Albany Middle School, Principal Mr. Horace Reed. His cooperating teacher was Mrs. Sylvia Haynes, and his university supervisor was Mr. Morris Arrington. Tavares is penned by Latricia Whitley. Next, we have Sheridan Lewis. Sheridan went to Albany Early College, Principal Barbara Harvey. Her cooperating teacher was Mrs. Daisy Beaver. University supervisor was Dr. Clara Sheffield. Sheridan is penned by Kenya Gilmore. Her mother and counselor. Okay. That's what I saw. Next is Brantley Simmons. Brantley went to St. Teresa's Catholic School, Principal Mrs. Gamesh. Cooperating teacher was Dr. Doreen Melodling and Mr. Robbie Hopkins. University supervisor was Mr. Morris Arrington, and Brantley is penned by Dr. Medling. Cecil Taylor is next. Cecil went to Albany Early College. Principal, Ms. Barbara Harvey. Cooperating teacher was Marcus Stroud, and Dr. Claire Sheffield was his university supervisor. Cecil is being penned by Ms. Marcus Stroud, his cooperating teacher. All right. Justin? Okay. Sorry, I don't have anything on Justin, but I know Justin is graduating.
Yeah.
So, Justin, right here. Okay, go ahead. Nothing. Okay, Mom is pinning Justin Turner. Thank you, Mom. Thank you. We have LaRosa Walker. LaRosa went to Dorothy International Education Middle School. Principal, Mrs. Thelma John. Cooperating teacher was Mrs. Pamela Jones. University supervisor was Mr. Morris Arrington. LaRosa is being pinned by Mr. Arrington. Oh, that said Miss Carver. Anyway. And last but not least, on my list, will be Quentin Wright. Quentin went to Sherwood Elementary. Principal, Mr. Eddie Johnson, and cooperating teachers, Dr. Marcus Washington. University supervisor was Mr. Bobby Fox, and Quentin is pinned by Dr. Washington, his cooperating teacher.
Latoya Prince is graduating with a master's degree in science education. Thank you so much. She did her student teaching at Albany Middle School with Mr. James Rhodes, and I will be pinning her. Her cooperating teacher is going to pin her. Thank you.
Okay, so they say the best for last, just so you know. My candidate is Miss Sabrina Russian. She's a special education major. She was assigned to Whitney Head Start Center in Albany, Georgia. Her principal was Miss Carla Hall. Her teacher was Miss Stephanie Asdine, and her university supervisor was Dr. Carla Shetfield, and she's being pinned by Dr. Shetfield.
Let's give all of our students, first of all, would all our students please stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. You may take a seat, and yes, you are officially pinned. I look forward to hearing all of your wonderful, glorious stories of all of your wonderful children that you will teach, who will cry and who will lean on you and laugh with you. And when you send them on to the next year, they'll give you those cute little notes with the words misspelled and a letter backwards, but just keep them forever, okay? Love those children and teach them, and teach them. Next, we will have our announcements and our closing remarks. Thank you.
Well, if you can't sing and follow those selections, what you have to do is use the words of those selections in your announcements. As I sat and listened to Ms. Thompson singing, I thought about how appropriate those words were that she was singing to you all. The wind beneath my wings. As you go in the classrooms each and every day, those students will be looking at you. And whether you think so or not, believe that you will be the wings beneath their wings. Every day that they look at you, you will be the heroes and sheroes who indeed will instill them with the content. You will develop within them the character. You will give them the motivation to be able to fly. If you do that, they will be able to reach any height. They'll be able to reach any level. They'll be able to compete against any other student, and they will come out on top. You indeed need to be proud of yourselves. If you look at yourselves, you should be the wings beneath each other's wings. You should be the wind beneath each other's wings. I'm sure there have been many times when you as groups have thought about how difficult the journey was to get where you are today. Somewhere you found some strength. Somewhere you studied a little harder. You took a test another time. You came to class one more day. You wrote one more paper. And indeed, the students whose classrooms you will enter into for the upcoming year, because we're claiming jobs for all of you, will be the better for it. We are better for you. I look at each group, and somewhere along the line, I have seen each and every one of you, spoken to you, talked to you, and many nights prayed for you. Because I've always known that teaching is the profession that I wanted to have. And I've always known since my first day here at Albany State, that developing the best teachers for not only Southwest Georgia, but the state and the nation is indeed the next phase of my journey. So as I take this journey with you, looking at some of the finest teachers that will ever grace the classrooms of our students, I'm indeed so proud of you, so proud of you. And I believe that each and every one of you can fly to whatever heights that you believe. Announcements. I announce that on tomorrow you will graduate from Albany State University. Woo-hoo! You will join the ranks of many, many great people, many, many great teachers, many of whom have shaped you over this last semester, and many who have shaped you even before that. I want to make sure that you understand what this celebration is all about. Penning, it is the professional embracing the novice. Throughout your years, Albany State's faculty have embraced you, and we have tried to instill within you those dispositions, that character, that content that we know professional educators must have to be successful. No longer is there a job for every teacher. There are jobs for competitive teachers who have that edge to stand above the rest. And we have tried each and every day with each and every class and each and every experience to equip you with that knowledge, give you those skills that Mr. Davis indeed talked about. Those professionals, your cooperating teachers and your university supervisors who have helped us to complete you on this journey are indeed professionals who have embraced you as novice teachers. You will no longer be novice teachers. You will be professional educators who have moved on to a classroom to shape lives of students. So I hope that you will take that very, very seriously. And as you graduate on tomorrow morning and you receive that diploma, you think about what it really, really means. It doesn't mean that this journey is complete. It means that the next phase of your life has just begun. And so take that very seriously. Please make sure that you're on time for tomorrow. Our line starts very early. I don't know about the rain, but I'm sure that in your rehearsal today, they gave you all of those plans. Make sure that you are prepared, ready, and able to make tomorrow the best day, or one of the best days of the rest of your life. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Every time we have a pinning ceremony, every time we finish a group of candidates, I like to end it, or part of my closing remarks is to give the due respect to your families. Because while you were studying, somebody was changing a diaper, somebody was fixing a meal, somebody was cleaning a house, somebody was picking up a kid, somebody was taking out a loan, somebody was doing a whole lot of things to get you guys to where you are. And oftentimes we give you all the accolades because it is your success. You were the one who were in school, but it took a whole bunch of a village to get you to be the teacher that you're going to be in the future. So I would like all of my candidates to stand up, turn around, and join me in giving your parents and your families the respect, your friends the respect they deserve for the support they've given you.